School of Seven Bells. This is their new album. What's playing is their first album. Just because. I went and saw these folks, all two of them. Well, there are four people. There's a drummer, keyboard player, and one of the twins, and the gentleman who plays guitar. I don't know them by name, but I saw them last Monday, and it was a good show. Enjoyed it. Missed having the twins together. I think those two female vocals that match really have a lot to do with the sound of School of Seven Bells. But this is the new album. You know what I hate about going to concerts, or small venues at least? I love going to small venues, but you buy a ticket online and you get a printout to hand to the guy at the door, and then you get a little, it's like a little raffle ticket and a wristband. You know, what happened to the days of getting really cool looking tickets and whatnot? It's obviously gone. So my grandniece, who went with me and with a friend of mine, nabbed me this last poster that was on one of the tables, which is very cool. So I was glad to get that. It's a little souvenir. Could have bought a t-shirt. They had some cool t-shirts there, but I opted not to get the cool in the t-shirt. But this will be going in. I usually grab something whenever I've gone to a concert before, and I've got a ticket stub and whatnot. I will slip it into the album or into the CD that they're promoting at the time, and so that's where I'm able to keep my ticket stubs. However, one thing I did do was, I talked a little bit about this yesterday. I went to our storage space that I had to rescue some vinyl, and in rescuing some of the vinyl that I had stored there a few years ago, I found a couple of things that were very, very cool. One was an envelope of some of my old ticket stubs. This is going to be a mishmash of things on this post, so bear with me. But I pretty much wanted to show you kind of what it is I saved from... It wasn't that drastic, but you know. Oddly enough, I kept looking at this going, well, I know I saw B-52s at the University of Washington, and who else did I see? What is this Houston thing? Oh, this must be a ticket for a football game. Somehow that ended up with some other tickets that I have. But like I said, a lot of ticket stubs I have, they're stuffed into the CDs, or they're stuffed into the albums, or they're along with a program that I bought. But anyway, just thought I'd quickly share a few of these ticket stubs that I found. From 1983, Supertramp. I think this was the last show when it was really Supertramp, the original lineup. It was the Famous Last Words tour, so that was kind of neat. September 2nd, 1983, at the Seattle Center Coliseum. And this is a really cool one. I'm so glad I found this because it clarifies when it was I did see Frank Zappa at the Paramount Theater at 10 p.m. Monday, December 17th, 1984. It says 10 p.m. I must have gone to the second show. I could have sworn I'd gone to the first show because I was considering buying tickets to the second show after I left. It was so cool. So I don't know. Maybe they had a second show after the 10 o'clock show. I kind of doubt it. 10 o'clock show sounds like that would have been the second show, but I don't know. But I was so happy I can say I was at a Frank Zappa show. It was top 10, easily one of the top 10 concerts I've ever seen. It was just incredible. It had everything. The music, musicianship, humor, it was like a stage play. It had everything in it. It was great. I loved it. I wish I could go back and see it again. There are some... I was watching something on Netflix last night for the making of Apostrophe and Overnight Sensation, and they kept going back to concert footage, and I've got a couple of concert DVDs and another documentary. I should dig those out and watch them. Here's my Genesis from 1984 at the Tacoma Dome, January 10th, 1984. This was after the Genesis album came out, the yellow one with all the shaped objects on the front. And great show, really, really good. I was really impressed. I was sort of, you know, I wanted to see, you know, this isn't going to, if they do any old songs, I want to enjoy them as much as, you know, Peter Gabriel was doing them, because I've always been a little critical of Seconds Out. Listening to Phil Collins trying to do the vocals that Peter Gabriel would do on those old songs, I just never thought he'd quite handle them as well as Peter Gabriel. Well, of course not. He's not Peter Gabriel. Isn't that Peter Gabriel's voice? So, but this was just a great concert. And when they did the old songs, they were great. And what was really cool about it was I was on the floor. I was younger then. I could stand for an entire concert. I could get up close to the stage. But there were two or three guys. I remember there were two guys walking around that looked like identical. They looked like Phil Collins and Mike Rutherford, the way they were dressed. They must have realized they looked similar to them, and then dressed like them, and were walking around, and people were like backing away from them and looking at them, and it was very strange. Anyway, that was a great concert. I'm very glad I went and saw him. And this one, you know, this is what I like about old ticket stubs. This is the Globe ticket stubs. I've got an Elvis Costello from 1981. They played at the Paramount Theater, and it's the same. It's a Globe ticket, but it's a smaller one. But this is for Rolling Stones at the Kingdome, I believe. This was for the 1981. This was for the Tattoo You tour, I think. I think that's what it was. So I saw the Stones at least 3 times at the Kingdome, and I was luckily on the floor close to the stage for all 3 shows. It's not the most intimate place to see a show, but you know, even here, Rolling Stones at the Kingdome, $16 in 1981. I wish tickets were that inexpensive these days. Anyway, let's move on to a few other things. I said I wasn't going to do a record store day because there's a lot of record store day stuff that's been done already. But one thing that I found that was sort of piggybacked on to Record Store Day wasn't announced. I didn't know anything about it. Were the vinyl and a box set on CD, and of course I had to buy both because I had to, of the first 3 albums by Cleaners from Venus. If you're not familiar with Cleaners from Venus, they are basically Martin Newell, who later on went on to work with Andy Partridge and do an album together. The Greatest Living Englishman, I believe the name of the CD was. I got it somewhere. Andy Partridge of XTC. So it's, you know, 80s Britpop, just really fun, interesting music to listen to. Throwback to the 60s a little bit. I've always liked the Cleaners ever since I heard of them. I kind of heard about them before, but then when Martin Newell did his work with Andy Partridge, I really heard about them, and I went back and I found a lot of stuff. Well, these came out. These are in here, which are the first 3 albums, Blow Away Troubles, On Any Normal Monday, and Midnight Cleaners. They released them also on vinyl. And I was like, I found one, and I thought, wow, this is great. Cleaners, you know. And then a friend of mine, Marsh, he had 2 more. I said, well, here's volume 2 and volume 3. Do you have volume 1? I go, yeah, I've got one of them, and it's different. And so the next thing I know is there's 3 of them. Well, he gives me his 2 because I wanted them, and he was just nice enough to hand them to me and say, here, you take them, because these are the only copies. And I had an MC5 marbled vinyl 45 from Record Store Day in my hands that he really wanted, that they were out of, so I handed that to him, and I let him buy that. But what's interesting, you notice that the artwork here is very rectangular, and it is the right proportion for a cassette. And that is because these first initial albums from Cleaners from Venus, obviously the first 3, and I think even maybe the 4th and 5th album, I'm not sure, they only came out on cassettes. So, to get a cassette version of these albums, there's a couple here and there on eBay now and then. I've never really sought them out. I figured that one day they would reissue them on vinyl or on CD, and they finally did. I just didn't find out about it until the day they were released. So they have changed the artwork a little bit. They've colorized it a little bit differently if you compare it to the original cassette artwork. So this one, which actually more like that. On the cassette, this was much more colorful but they sort of toned it down a little bit and just did it more minimal this way. Anyway, those were kind of my favorite sort of unofficial, piggybacked onto record store day finds. I do have, you know, a few other things here and there. A couple more things I'm still looking for. But back to my archaeological dig in my storage space. I found something I completely forgot about. I saw this and I went, what? I didn't even remember buying this, but it got put away. And this was a Cleaners from Venus box set on 45s. It was limited to 800 only made. And there was also an additional disc called the Cleaners from Venus Legendary 13th EP. And this was also limited to 800. I think this may have been sold together with this or along at the same time. This is number 677 of 800, and the number for this box set is somewhere else. But this was released back, I want to say it's mid-90s, so I'm probably wrong. But, oh well, I'll find out. I'll figure it out. Nice, slightly marbled blue vinyl there. Very cool. All of these discs are on colored vinyl, which is very neat. And you know, I just watched a couple of posts this morning. One from, forgive me, Stevie over in the UK, who has made a comment about colored vinyl being somewhat, you know, it's not as special as it used to be. A lot of people are doing it. And I kind of agree. I've kind of noticed it. You know, everything's coming out in colored vinyl, and then things I wish would come out in colored vinyl don't. But at the same time, for the most part, when things do come out in colored vinyl, it's usually the initial pressing or a small pressing. If they have a release of, we're going to do 2,000 LPs, the first 500 will be in colored vinyl and the rest will be black or whatever. So, you know, that still makes it somewhat special. But yeah, a lot of people are doing it. It's kind of a promotional thing. And I kind of think it's different than it used to be. Years ago, when they did colored vinyl, it was more gimmicky, I think, and it was more, oh, isn't this a novelty? The vinyl wasn't necessarily the best quality, but now I think the vinyl of colored vinyl is just as good quality as the black vinyl. I haven't heard any sonic differences, really. So opening up this Cleaners from Venus, Don't Step on My Rainbow, 20 songs from 1980 to 1996. This is number 509 of 800, and it's dated 97, so that's when this came out, 1997. Cool box. It has a great, terrific book that just has all kinds of interesting writings. Here it's got, I think these must be tracks from all the different albums and whatnot, because here's a Blow Away Your Troubles cassette, a small replication of, and then on Any Normal Monday. So I still haven't. I think I did read these way back when I first bought this, but I'll have to reread them because it's been a while. And there's Mr. Newell right there, and photos. It's like a little scrapbook that was put together of information about the Cleaners and tells you about the records that are in the album. Great color photos here that look like they were just printed up off of somebody's photo of the show of the Cleaners from way back when. So very cool. Dave Gregory, there's Dave Gregory with another XTC member with Martin Newell. It's Martin Newell, the Off-White album, very good. Some more shots of Martin Newell, and then just some other things stuffed in here, things you could probably order, I don't know, just all kinds of little goodies here and there stuffed away. Be an Idiot Pop Star, there you go. So and other things like little postcards, illustrations, winter refit, lino cut by James Dodds, published by Jardine Press, Barnacle House. A photo of Mr. Newell himself. Another postcard. The waterfront, pardon my pronunciation, Wivenhoe or Wivenhoe, Wivenhoe. I'm sure there's a more colloquial pronunciation of that town's name in England. I apologize. I'm sure it's a linotype, line cut illustration of Mr. Newell. And inside, another one, very cool. And yeah, Wivenhoe, I'm guessing it's Wivenhoe, Wivenhoe, hand-printed lino cuts by James Dodds. So this is a very cool little piece here. Then we get to what the box is all about, the vinyl. It includes 5 discs. The 5th one is kind of a special, very cool, marbled 45. And then put that back in. All of them have the same, basically the same artwork. They just have a 1 stamped on it or a 2. Well, so much for no damage was done by this being dropped on the floor. Here I was trying to say protect these things, and the worst thing I could have done was get them in my hands and drop them. No, nothing happened. It didn't even come out of the. It didn't even come out of the disc. Isn't that scary? Somebody else, I think it was Elbow Sausage, did that. Had something he had for his wife. He was being really quiet with it. And he was showing this. He'd taken the disc completely out, and he's showing it, and then he drops it, and then posts it. And I was like, good for him. He posted it anyway. But all was well. No damage was done. But these are nice, transparent. They're almost, I don't know what kind of color you call this. It's almost like a peach. Not even peach, like a mango colored. And that's an unusual color for a record. Mango colored? Why not? So they're all pretty much the same as far as, you know, the way they look. That same mango color with the all the same artwork. The only difference is they stamped a number on it, 4, 3, 2, 1. So anyway, that's that cool little Cleaners from Venus box that I totally forgot about. And, you know, that's a nice little surprise to come up on. And it's like, oh yeah. And there's one of these up on eBay right now, surprisingly. Because I figured, well, you know, yeah, they made 800, but how many got bought? How many survived? How many are in the hands of collectors and they're not being given up? You don't know. But I was surprised to find one on eBay. So, for a lot more money than I paid for this. But of course, they're only really worth what people will pay for them. So, and it's not really about, you know, I keep thinking, oh, you know, I bought something and now it's worth a lot more money. I'm not going to sell this unless I have to. And I don't really foresee myself having to sell this, but I definitely want to hold on to it. That's got the 13th EP in there. That's actually what the cover looks like. You know, lo-fi. You know, it's lo-fi on the exterior production, but like I said, all the inside, that little booklet and everything, it's very, very cool. This is probably going to end up being a long post. A lot of terrestrial stuff here. I'm not going to pull that stuff out. I'm going to pull these things out, though. This is what I really was looking for. And I showed the Beatles blue box. It's a Dutch blue box that I have right up here, which you can't see me point to. It's like up there. And it has all 13 of the albums. The US released it, UK released it, Japan released it. Mine is a Dutch pressing. Well, they also went ahead and did blue box sets for the EPs and the singles. And this is the EP box set. I'm not going to completely take this out, but this has got the flip top box, flip top on it. Unlike my LP box, which has it's more of the, you would have to take this and lay it down on its backside and then open it up like a book. That was the original release of the Dutch version. And it was only the Dutch version, I think, that had that release, but everything else came with the flip top, which is much easier to get a hold of all the records. Because when you've got this, and then you got to pull all the records out that you know, which record do you want to get to? It's cool that it's, because they changed it eventually. The Dutch eventually changed it and it became like the flip top. But I'm kind of glad I got that Dutch one because it's very unique. But here's all the EPs, all nicely replicated, every single one of them. There's also I don't want to take all of these out, it would just be too much trouble, because I want to show you some other stuff, but you know, what the heck, I might as well, since I'm here doing this. Come on now, don't be shy. It'll be nice to see all of these again. I haven't pulled these out in a while. Oh, that's why. Interesting. So it includes, pretty much in order, all of their EPs, which, if I hold like this, you might be able to see. Might be able to. And they're reproductions, but they're very faithfully reproduced. They even have the flip back on the back of the sleeve. It isn't just a printed flip back; it's an actual flip back cover. So I always like these Hard Day's Night Part 1 extracts from the film, Part 1 and Part 2. This one, nice outtake from. Actually, that's the same cover as Beatles for Sale. I thought it was an outtake, but it isn't. I always like this cover. Beatles for Sale number 2. And then Million Sellers, yeah. Let's Have Them Play with Giant Springs. Okay. Yesterday. Now these are EPs, they got 4 songs on each one of them. This is a great one, Nowhere Man. Drive My Car, Michelle, and You Won't See Me. And then this was sort of a bonus EP. This wasn't an original released EP, but it's got the Inner Light, and supposedly it's the stereo version, released in stereo. Even says back here, released in stereo for the first time, but apparently it's not in stereo. So it's either fake stereo or it's still mono. A mistake was made. So, and it's also got Baby You're a Rich Man, She's a Woman, and This Boy. Interesting combination. I think these were songs that never appeared on albums and whatnot, and but that was a special EP just released with that box. And then, of course, the Magical Mystery Tour. And it's a message from the past. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, it's from my friend Don over in Port Angeles. A message from the past. Funny. I'll have to read this later. It's just including artwork. So it's just a music related note. Very cool. Anyway, that's cool. So that's the EP box. To go along with the blue LP box and the blue EP box, they also released a blue singles box. A lot of the singles again, flip top box, flip top, and opens up, and it has this cool little. Here's all the singles that they released, and they also included a little crunch there, but picture disc of Love Me Do. Or is this Please Please Me? That's Love Me Do. Back with P.S. I Love You. And then they went on to continue to release a lot of these on picture discs. I think they may have released the entire collection on picture disc of all the singles. That being said, they didn't have picture sleeves for a lot of the singles when they were originally released. So you can see this is a pretty tight. It's not wanting to open any farther than this, and that's mostly because I didn't open it any farther than that way back when. But they went ahead and created picture sleeves for all the singles, even though they may not have had picture sleeves made for them originally. So that was kind of cool. And then they went and made picture discs out of all of them, and I've got a good handful of the picture discs. I'm gonna have to. They're mixed in a couple different boxes. I gotta take a look and see which ones I have, because I might want to fill in. I thought I had all of them, but I think I like that crack sound when you're closing it. It means it's still minty fresh. Anyway, this was the singles box. I'll put away that EP box later. Another item from my storage case was a box set of Kate Bush. This is called the Singles File, 1978 to 1983. And another friend of mine had one of these, and he told me about it, and I went out and bought it. And he told me, well, his number was so-and-so. And I went, mine doesn't have a number. And then I went to find out that apparently the first issue of this did have a number. They were numbered. They're all limited edition, but they were numbered. But then they issued additionals. The first, so many of them, I don't know, maybe 1,000, who knows, 500, were numbered, and then they stopped numbering them. But it had a booklet, and I was thinking, well, maybe I missed it and it was in the booklet, but I looked in the booklet and I didn't find anything that numbered it. But let me take a quick look. Has a nice little message from Kate here, but no number on the front. And then just it has a lot of photos of her performing live, and all the lyrics from all the songs. So, and then it's got all of the 45s faithfully reproduced from start to finish from that period. I think there's also a 45 in here that's only in here that may only be available. Has a Christmas single, which is very cool. Glad to get that. I'm not a big Christmas music fan, but that was kind of nice to get. But it has all the singles on it, so, and this is a tough box set to find. So let me put this booklet back, check the back of it one more time. There might be a slip of paper in here that I've just missed, that's what they have the number on. I don't know. I always assumed that the number was on the bottom of the box somehow here, but I think I saw one. I believe I saw one, and it wasn't. It didn't have it had a number on a slip of paper, or it was printed on that booklet. So that being said, might as well go ahead. A couple other things that I grabbed, that I found, luckily. I want to show, I'm still here, don't leave. It'll kind of be worth it if you stick around. Maybe. So anyway, here's a few more of those picture discs of the Beatles singles that I have. Please Please Me, and then From Me to You. So I need to get all these assembled. I've got a few more in some of these other boxes. I need to assemble all of these and figure out just which ones I've got and which ones I don't have. Which ones I don't got. There's some good English for you. So let me take a look here. I want to show off a few things. Oh yeah. So I had two crates of 45s like this, just in a big plastic box with a big plastic fold-over top. The top hadn't been touched or crunched or anything, and yet somehow, and maybe this happened before. I don't know. I just don't remember. Everything on this corner got crunched, just got like that. I don't remember it happening before I put those in. I don't see how it could have happened after I put them in, but you know, I'm just sort of glad that nothing worse happened. I'm glad that there's no warping of any of the records or anything. Same 45. I just bought 2 copies of it, and it's the Dukes of Stratosphere on colored vinyl. Single, Vanishing Girl. This is XTC doing what they always love to do. Hello, Dexter. How you doing? And here's another one. This one got crunched here too, but it's a flimsier 45 sleeve, so it's not as bad. And there's that great all black and white Virgin label, so that's kind of cool. So I could go through here and show you my XTC 45 collection, which I've got a pretty good one of. Derek, when you were showing, if you're watching this, when you were showing your XTC 45 collection, I was dying because I wanted to show mine and I couldn't find mine, and that's when it dawned on me that, oh, it's in the storage space. This is one of my favorite. This sort of show. This is an example of XTC doing something special with a 45, or they'll do it with an album too. But they'll release, you know, here's the single for The Meeting Place from Skylarking, and it's just a straightforward single, straightforward cover. With a black, you know, like that, and black vinyl record. Pretty straightforward. But then they will also do, and this will be usually the initial release, they will do something special with it. And in this case, it is a transparent. Well, this is the outer. This is the sleeve. The sleeve is just this plastic. But then they printed onto the actual plastic sleeve this hand. You see it on both sides, and then the white insert so that it does stand out. Even the barcode is printed onto this plastic sleeve. And then the disc itself, which I have over here, has no label, has all transparent. But then if you look at it very carefully in the dead wax but more importantly, where the label would be, you'll see all the information that would be on the label, XTC, and then it talks about, what song is on this side. The meeting place has all the information about who did what, just very small lettering, very small type, what songs are on each side and whatnot. And the way this originally came to you was like this transparent disc just slipped right in here, and it was all about that. That was the sort of specialty version of this single, and they did that for a lot of their singles. I wish I could show you, like I said, the etching that's on the label area here that says XTC, and it's pretty cool. But this is a great example of the little specialty things that they would do with their singles quite often. Anyway, that was something that I was very happy to save from obscurity in the vault that I have them in. XTC Wake Up. Nicely crunched. Oh well. I recently bought just an immaculate version of another 45 of theirs that I never find in very good shape. And like the XTC with the postcards from all the different cities showing them flattened by a nuclear blast. Greetings from London. There's another one that says greetings from Tokyo, greetings from New York, and this was their anti-nuke 45. Push once. It was all about, what would happen if we were to have a nuclear war. Anti-nuke song here. XTC's Christmas single, The Three Wise Men, on one side, and on the other side it was it also The Three Wise Men? Yeah. They did a pop-sounding song on one side and a little disco-funk song called Countdown to Christmas Party Time on the other side. So that was very cool. Love and a Farm Boy's Wages. It opens up into a wallet. Wonderland picture disc. And 2 of those. Didn't get that crunched. But the standard version of Wonderland with the standard black vinyl on it. So this is one that I always thought was pretty cool. This was a song called Big Fire, or Great Fire, excuse me. And the whole idea being that when you took the record out, it kind of created this fire-looking effect. I could have sworn there was another. This one is red and black. I could swear there was one that was yellow and black, or orange and black. Well, the back is a different color. Maybe that's it. Maybe it just got flipped around on some of them, and I thought there was a second version of it. I could have sworn there was a green version, but that doesn't make any sense for fire. No Thugs in Our House. This is kind of cool. Also has the Homo Safari series of sort of ambient experimental tracks that Andy Partridge did. Says it's working overtime, the regular and the fold-out version. Here's another example of XTC doing another band, hiding themselves under the name of another band called The Colonel. I think I held up a 45 by Spies, and people were suggesting that was XTC doing something different. Well, it wasn't. But here is a copy of them. I think I got this up in Vancouver. Too Many Cooks in the Kitchen, The Colonel, and Footprints? What's the B-side on this? Inquiring minds want to know. I Need Protection, that's right. So here's The Colonel, the band called The Colonel, but it's actually XTC. Guitar, Rob Hendry. Bass, The Colonel. Drums, Terry Chambers. Keyboards, it's basically XTC. It could be that Andy Partridge didn't have anything to do with this. It might have been just a Colin Moulding output, but yeah, Colin Moulding of XTC. I always refer to it as XTC. And when they did a compilation CD of B-sides, hard to find things and whatnot. They included these 2 songs on in that compilation. So, nice flexi disc from Looking for Footprints. That's where Looking for Footprints comes from. Can't remember what magazine that came from, but I have it. A bunch of little things here and there. Sergeant Rock that actually folds out into a comic book poster of comic book art. Towers of London, free single with live tracks on it, but the actual silhouette of London is separate, printed separately on the sleeve, which is very cool. You can change these out and have different cityscapes on here. So I think this is a German pressing for Wait Till Your Boat Goes Down. I also have the more traditional standard, I think, UK pressing of it, cover of it. Making Plans for Nigel. Might have been a special version for that, I don't remember. They both look like they're the same. But here's the one that I bought recently, and I was so happy to find basically a mint copy of it, because it's a white cover. There's always a bunch of ringware and whatnot on here. So, you know, Are You Receiving Me? Mine has ringware on it, but the one I bought recently was just nothing. Nothing had been touched. It was incredible. I just couldn't. I had to buy it, even though I knew I had this. So, oh, here's some more of the Homo Safari series on here. Andy Partridge did some experimental music, electronic, dub. I don't know if it was dub or not, but and also and that came out on the Dub Experiments. That's where I'm getting the word, the phrase dub from. And that came out on a CD compilation called the Dub Experiments, which I have. But he also released on the 45s the Homo Safari series. And the only place that's available is on a 45, or not a 45, it's on a CD single of Dear God. It was a UK CD single of Dear God that compiled all of the Homo Safari series on that same 5-inch CD single. That's the only place you can get the CD of all of the Homo Safari series, unless you have the vinyl set, which is spread out over several vinyl LPs. Statue of Liberty. This is Pop. Now with Crunched Corner, right? And there's some offshoot things. I got a couple of things of Barry Andrews when he went solo. He was the original keyboard player for them, and then he went on to form. This is Rossmore Road and Town and Country. He went on to form, I believe it was Midnight Oil. Am I right? I get Midnight Oil mixed up with another Australian band, but not Midnight Oil. Shriekback. Thank you, whoever was yelling that into the computer. Shriekback is what he started out. So anyway, a whole bunch of local stuff here, which is very cool. Just really very happy to have found these and everything, and you know. It's an obscure XTC related 45, which I won't show because it's a little obscene, a little bit obscene. So here, this is the Dear God 45. But when you get if you can find the Dear God CD single, 5-inch single, you will get the rest of the Homo Safari series, all of the Homo Safari series. Otherwise, you have to find on vinyl. Real quick, let me show you. You can find copies of it, but I wish I had the CD to show you because it has a different cover. But it's XTC. Well, it's Andy Partridge. He put out 2 albums of experimental music. This one called Take Away, and it was also referred to as Lure of Salvage. Yeah, Mr. Partridge, Lure of Salvage, and on this side it's called Take Away. So this is the original vinyl. And there's also one other experimental piece, if I'm lucky enough to grab it, first time out. Yes. When you bought their second album called Go 2, which was their second album, you also got, in the original release, you got an album called XTC Go Plus. And it's basically the album, I think Is it this one? Takeaway? One of them is actually reworkings of songs that they had done. They all have different names, but if you listen to them, you'll hear songs that they had already recorded, little bits. It's almost like reworkings of songs that they had released. But this one, 2 songs on one side, 3 songs on the other, and this is from 1978. So just XTC Gold Plus. It was released along with the Go 2 album, their second album. A little tough to find, I think, on vinyl, but well worth seeking out. And if you don't want to seek out the vinyl of these 2 guys, I highly recommend getting the XTC, the Dub Experiments, I think is what it's called. And it's kind of got a blue cover, and it has this very strange paint swatch artwork on the front of it. So definitely worth seeking those out. This up here right now. This is probably a 30-minute clip right now, that's all I can think of. And I should probably cut it off right now. I've got another box of 45s here I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through these 45s, organize everything. Fun. This is fun. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. I'm sure this was a really long post. I've got something playing on iTunes right now. I usually have a record side, which is about 15 to 20 minutes, so I can gauge it. But I'm sure I'm well over 20 minutes. Thank you very much, and I will be posting again soon. I'll be trying to catch up on a lot of posts soon as well. So take care. Bye. Let's see. It's always fun to end with something. And we'll give you a closer look of Lure of Salvage. Andy Partridge, Takeaway.